Hey everybody, in this video I'm going to go over the Yellow Loong boss fight in Chapter 4 of Black Myth. This is technically an optional boss, so you don't necessarily need to defeat him as part of the main story, but you do get some pretty good rewards, so I'd recommend taking the time out to do this. You also have to complete a side quest in order to unlock this fight, and I have a video, I'll leave a link for that in the description, on how to get to this point. So this fight can be a little bit intimidating at first, but once you kind of figure him out and learn his moveset, he's not too bad. I'll go through the build and strategy that I ended up using that made this fight pretty manageable, and I think it should help you out if you're having some struggles. So first I'll go through the equipment and upgrades and things that I was using, and then we'll walk through the fight. So starting off, just a kind of a quick reminder, if you haven't been upgrading lately as we get into the late game, make sure that you go and do that, as it just can be an easy thing to do to make this fight a little bit easier. So head over to the Zodiac Village. If you haven't been here yet, I also have a video about that on my channel. And just put your remaining points into whatever's available. So we can take a look at my celestial medicines. You can see I've got some stuff in health and stamina and defense and recovery rate. You can customize those as you want, but just making sure that you're actually using those. And then also, doing things like upgrading your gourd. So you can see that I have mine fully upgraded and I got 9 uses out of that, which can be really helpful. So nothing really specific to a strategy, but just making sure that if you haven't upgraded lately to go ahead and do that. So now taking a look through the build that I used for this fight, starting off with the equipment that I had. So I was using the Spider Celestial Staff. You can build this in Chapter 4 after defeating the Violet Spider and getting the Spider Leg. As you can see, this gives us some nice damage as well as critical hit chance. The Fireproof Mantle, I'll be using that to build up focus. And then for the Spirit, I've got Tiger's Acolyte, not to use him, but to get that increase in critical damage benefit by having that equipped. And then you can see this is the armor that I had. I've got the Golden Mask of Fury, the Long Scale Battle Robe, and the other pieces for the arms and legs. And then for my Curious, I've got the Cat's Eye Bead for critical hit chance, and then also the Back Scratcher for some stamina. And then kind of another important aspect of this, I've got the Medicine Buddha Gourd. So as mentioned, I got that fully upgraded with 9 uses, which is really going to help out. But I've also got the Jade Essence Drink, which you can get in Chapter 3. And you can see this not only increases your health by 36%, but it also increases your mana as you use it. So again, that's going to be a really good benefit to get us some additional mana for some additional spell use if we need it during the fight. And then not really super important, but I got the Bee Mountain Stone and the Fruit of Tao soaks in there as well. Looking at my relics, I've got the Keen Insight to increase critical hit damage. The Whistling Wind to increase attacks after perfect dodges, and then also Hold Breath for extending dodge invincibility. So dodging is going to be kind of an important aspect of this fight, so we're going to be investing a lot of things to kind of help out in that respect. Moving over to the upgrades. So these are what I invested in and kind of utilized during the fight. So stamina, making sure I've got Vigilant Heart fully upgraded. So that's where I invested all the way down to that to get focus as we do perfect dodges. Again, dodges are going to be kind of important during this fight, so maximizing that. I've got Martial Arts upgraded to Sturdy. And then under Survival, I've got my mana fully upgraded with Spiritual Awakening to have as much spell usage as possible. And then I've got Wrathful Escalation fully upgraded to increase critical hit chance. And then I just had an extra point that I put into Wrathful Might for critical hit damage. For Staff Stance, so we're going to be using Smash Stance, so I've got all of those heavy attack upgrades, so we can utilize that. And then for the spells, we're primarily just going to be using 2. We've got Cloud Step, which we'll be using a lot, and we've got that fully upgraded, primarily to be able to use heavy charged attacks while we're in that Cloud Step form with Thunder Strike. But I do have Absolute Strike upgraded as well, which increases the damage of Unveiling Strike. And then the other spell we're going to use, which we have fully upgraded, is a Pluck of Many. So this will play a pretty big role in kind of the second phase of the fight and do a lot of damage. And once you get this fully upgraded, these monkeys can be really powerful, so we're going to take advantage of that and get this fully upgraded. And as you can see, once we get to Volition, they can also use spells like a Mobilize, Ring of Fire, and Rock Solid, which is pretty powerful. Okay, so now as we get into the fight here, as we run up the stairs, we want to pop that Fireproof Mantle Vessel to start building up some focus. And then as we get into the arena, we'll pause here for a second. So this first part is fairly straightforward. I'll go over most of the main moves that he does. They're pretty easy to dodge, and because of the build that we have, we've got some upgrades that are going to increase that ability, making it a little bit easier. But basically, we're just going to poke him as we can, dodge his moves, build up some focus for some heavy charged attacks to do some damage until he gets into this big giant lightning attack that he does. Starting off, every time I fought him, he's opened up with this charge attack move, so I think that's pretty universal. We can see this again. So he charges at you and then does a backslash attack, which is a good opportunity to get a perfect dodge, as you can see there, once you get the timing right. He'll also do this randomly throughout the fight as well. It's pretty telegraphed, so it's pretty easy to dodge. His next attack that he does quite a bit and follows that up is with this attack here, and you can notice he puts the bottom of the pole on his foot. It's kind of a good visual cue for that. This is a 3 dodge attack. A lot of his attacks in this first phase are 3 dodges, so kind of keep that in mind when he's doing attacks. Just kind of think dodge, dodge, dodge. So here he goes, dodge, dodge, dodge. So again, once you get the timing, pretty easy to get some perfect dodges there, building up some focus. Here it is again, dodge, dodge, dodge. And then after this, he's got another 3 dodge attack that he likes to do a lot. You can notice this as he's spinning his weapon. Again, another kind of a visual cue. So once you see him spin that weapon, you'll know you've got 3 dodges coming. So as we progress here, he stabs at you, then slashes, and then does a spin attack. So if we take a look at that one more time, he spins his weapon, stab, jump attack, and then backslash. Again, once you get the timing right, pretty good opportunity to get some perfect dodges there. The next 3 dodge combo that you'll see from him quite a bit is this one, where he opens it up by spinning the weapon on top of his head, and then he'll follow that with 3 slash attacks, as you can see here. Looking at this one more time, keep an eye on for spinning the weapon over his head, and then slash, slash, and slash. And then finally, he's got one more move that you might see here as well, which is 2 quick slashes followed by that thrust there. So we'll take a look at that one more time. And then we'll go back to the original fight and start at the beginning to kind of see this all in action. So as we start the fight here, he's going to open up with that thrusting attack that we looked at, get a perfect dodge there, build up some focus. And in between moves, we're just going to kind of do some light attack combos where we can, dodging the moves that we just looked at, trying to build up 3 focus and kind of poke him a little bit. So there I get 3 focus to do a charged attack, do some nice damage. And then again, we're just going to kind of keep an eye out for what moves he does and kind of keep that pattern going of hitting him with light attack combos where we can, perfect dodges to build up focus until he does his big lightning attack that's coming up here shortly. So we'll pause here because now he is going into that big lightning attack, and it's pretty obvious when he's doing it. He does this whole big thing, but this is an attack we definitely want to make sure that we avoid because it can do a ton of damage. And we're going to use Cloud Step to do that. However, we don't want to use it right away. We want to use it after his first initial attack of this. So you can dodge it if you can. However, honestly, if you get hit by his first attack, it's not a huge deal. We just want to do it after that because it can run out before he does his final attack, and then you'll get hit by that, which can do a ton of damage. So as we progress here, what you want to keep an eye out for is when he does this whole display before the attack, you can see the weapon glows orange. So kind of keep an eye out for that. And when that orange glow goes away, that's kind of your cue to dodge. And you might have to practice the timing a couple tries, but you can see that here. So we're going to dodge and then use Cloud Step. So looking at that again, dodge, then go into Cloud Step. And then we're just going to let him do his whole thing. But while we're doing this, we're going to charge that 3 focus heavy attack, because when he comes down for that final move, it'll be a good opportunity to get that hit in. Immediately after that, the next thing that we want to do is send in the monkeys, and they're just going to kind of go to town on this guy for a little bit. You also want to get in there and help out with some light attack combos. They'll be building up focus for you as well, so you should pretty quickly be able to get in a 3 or even 4 focused heavy attack. So here I get in a 3 focus attack real quick. But you can see they're using spells and everything as well, so they just kind of do a good job taking care of a big chunk of this fight. So that's kind of this portion of the fight, honestly. It might take you a couple tries to get to this nice setup here, but after this is all said and done, you should be in really good shape. So they're just kind of do their thing. I get another 3 focus attack as those monkeys help me build up some focus, so get that in here. And then as we finish out the last portion of this fight, you should be in pretty good shape. Again, it might take you a couple tries to get to this position, but as you can see, only about 1/3 of his health left to deal with. Our gourd is pretty much entirely full. We got plenty of mana left, and not only that, when we use our gourd, it's going to replenish some mana, so plenty to use Cloud Step some more. I have Immobilize. I never actually used it in the fight, but you kind of have that in your back pocket if you want to equip that for safety. We still have our transformation that we're going to use, so really in a good position to finish up this fight. But before that, I'll just kind of quickly cover some additional moves that you might see in this last part. Kind of similar to what we did for phase 1. I'll just go through some of the moves you'll see. They are very similar, however, he kind of throws in a little extra. So rather than kind of being the 3 combo moves, now they're 4 combos. So we'll just take a look at some of those here real quick. Starting off, he's got a variation of that opening charge attack that he does, but after the backslash, he follows that up with a tornado and then a slam down. He has another variation of that charge attack here where he charges at you and then follows that up with a couple spin moves. So again, really when you were dealing with like 2 and 3 attack combos in the first phase, they're now like 3 and 4 attack combos. So here's a variation of that move where he puts the pull on his foot. So they're just kind of similar, and then he slams down at the end, but they're just like a little fancier. He's got this move as well, where he finishes it up with a big spin slash, and then that explodes, which is kind of cool. And then here's the last one where he actually goes into kind of like a cloud step form himself. So now going back to the fight, I do have Cloud Step refresh, so I go ahead and use that right away. Make sure you're taking advantage of all the mana that you've got. So I use that to get another quick 3 focus charge attack in. I actually only got 2 there. I was impatient. But at this point, really, I still have transformation to use, so I'm kind of just waiting to last as long as I can. I still, again, have plenty of gourd usage and things like that. But I'm trying to last as long as I can before I use Red Tide's transformation. You can also see that my vessel refreshed, so I pop that. That's going to help me build up some focus. But really, at this point, just kind of dodging attacks and trying to get in damage where I can. So you can see as I continue to grind out the last part of this fight, I start using my gourd quite a bit. So it's nice to have all those extra charges to get through the end of this. It's also refilling my mana, as we mentioned, so really in a good spot to have plenty of mana for any spells that I need to use, Cloud Step and whatnot. One other thing to note is you can see that he is going to go into that lightning attack again. So I go into Cloud Step, so you want to kind of make sure, if you can, have that at the ready if he goes into that. I did a terrible job here dodging this. I tried to get in a focus attack in the middle of it for some reason. So that kind of prompted me like, okay, time to use transformation. I didn't want to use it this early, but I just played that terribly, that last big lightning attack. But here, just kind of using that to grind out a lot of his damage if I can. One thing I would try and suggest is using that big heavy attack. That seems to do a nice amount of damage where you dodge and then you follow it up with a heavy attack, as you can see here. So that does a nice amount of damage with transformation, and that gets me to almost all of his health gone. So got a couple gourd uses left, and really just trying to get a last couple hits in here. So I think I get a final charge attack in just to kind of finish things up. So that is the boss complete. So that's kind of how I went about doing it, and it seemed to work pretty well. It took me a couple tries, but once you got that nice setup, it seemed like it was a pretty good strategy to get through this fight. So if you are having some struggles, give this a try. Let me know if it works, and hopefully it helps you out. So thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.